a neighborhood in America that many call by a strange name, Zombieland. It sounds like something from a movie, but this is a completely true story right in the middle of a large city, just a few hours' drive from the nation's capital. Why does it have this nickname? What turned a once bustling community into a place associated with such a strange and haunting image? It all began with the emergence of a new substance so powerful that it is changing the rhythm of life and the social landscape of the entire area.
My drug of choice, I do trank and powder. The scariest situation is probably what this trank is doing to my body. Yeah, my legs, like the bottom, are pretty much raw.
Like open?
The skin is gone. Yeah, it looks like a zombie egg. Oh, it feels like acid. It burns. It feels like a burn. It's the acid, the pus literally burns your good skin. So it's pretty much like a chemical burn.
In this video, we will explore the story behind it to see the full picture, not just of one street, but of the challenges an entire country is facing. Number 1, a gateway to another world. That little boy was playing with a toy car with only 3 wheels. Beside him, a woman sat silently, her eyes gazing into the distance, as if trying to hold on to a memory I could not touch. They were right there on the sidewalk amidst the flow of passers-by. Not in a park, nor in a yard. If you were to just glance, you might think this was a normal moment. But in this place, the stories behind it are anything but normal. A few more steps, and you will understand why people call this a gateway to another world. Kensington Avenue, Philadelphia's no signs, no welcome gate, but everyone knows what it is famous for. On the stained sidewalks, groups of people gather. Some sit as still as statues, while others move slowly, their bodies hunched over eyes fixed on the ground. No one hides anything. It all happens in plain sight. Here, the sidewalk is not just a place for walking. It has become an impromptu communal space where a health crisis unfolds in plain sight with worrying signs of a public health issue left behind. What is noteworthy is that both residents and police walk by as if this were a part of daily life. That sense of normalcy to a newcomer is the most shocking thing of all. The root cause comes from a new substance called trank, a combination of fentanyl, a powerful synthetic opioid, and xylazine, a veterinary tranquilizer. This mixture causes users to enter a state almost detached from reality, which is both dangerous to their health and completely alters the community landscape. But the story of Kensington is not just about one substance. It is the result of years of accumulating problems, economic crisis, soaring housing prices, and a lack of medical and social support services. Some people come here from other states because it is more accessible. Others are here simply because they have nowhere else to go. Despite this, Kensington is not all darkness. Many volunteer groups and local residents persistently distribute food, water, clothing, and also hope. In these seemingly desperate streets, there are still stories of efforts to change, however small, yet resilient. And upon leaving Kensington, the image of the boy with the three-wheeled car remains in the mind. Not as a shocking photo, but as an open question. What will we do when this gateway to another world lies right in the heart of one of the wealthiest nations on Earth?
When I go to inject, you'll see I have horrific wounds on my legs. Like, this shit's crazy. I should be in the hospital. 15 times they tried to admit me and they weren't able to do anything for me.
Number 2. The price of dependence. Amidst the streets of Kensington, one can easily spot hunched-over figures standing still for minutes like stone statues. Some sway gently. Others seem to fall asleep right in the middle of the street, oblivious to the car horns and hurried footsteps around them. They are not pretending. This is the real effect of a new mixture called trank. A combination of fentanyl, an extremely potent synthetic opioid, and xylazine, a veterinary tranquilizer often used for horses. Fentanyl is already known for its devastating power, many times stronger than other illicit substances. But when mixed with xylazine, it becomes a concoction that is cheap, fast-acting, and so potent it is nearly unstoppable. Users fall into a state almost detached from the real world, their muscles losing control, their minds clouded. The price to pay is not just dependence, but also serious impacts on the body. After just a few months, the body begins to show severe skin lesions. Some of these lesions do not heal on their own and lead to dangerous complications. For many, facing permanent consequences is only a matter of time. This is not an exaggeration to cause fear. Hospitals in Philadelphia have recorded hundreds of cases requiring heavy and irreversible medical interventions due to complications related to xylazine. What makes trank more dangerous is that it silently replaces other illicit substances on the streets. It is cheap, fast-acting, and difficult to detect in some standard tests, quickly becoming a popular choice in the underground market. Many users have no idea they are consuming xylazine until their bodies begin to break down. But behind every image of the zombie that the media often mentions, there are real human beings with their own stories. Some were once factory workers, drivers, even students. But after an injury or a personal crisis, they turned to painkillers and slid down a long slope. In Kensington, this story repeats so often that local residents are hardly surprised anymore. Amidst this bleak picture, there are still small points of light. Relief groups distribute emergency reversal drugs like naloxone. While it cannot reverse the effects of xylazine, it still saves many from the accompanying fentanyl overdoses. Some organizations try to get users into treatment programs, providing meals and temporary shelter. And yet, every afternoon, as the last rays of sunlight fall on Kensington, the figures of people sleeping while standing on the street continue to appear. Trank does not just destroy the body. It is slowly turning a corner of the city into a grim picture that all of America must confront. Number 3. A crack in the American dream. On May 12, 2025, a report from the Philadelphia Department of Public Health was released. In the first 4 months of the year alone, there were over 500 overdose deaths from illicit substances. The majority of these deaths were concentrated in Kensington, a neighborhood located amidst streets that were once symbols of America's industrial might. Those stark statistics are a mirror reflecting what is happening here every hour. That same afternoon, on a corner of Allegheny Avenue, a young man, about 20 years old, leaned against a paint-peeled wall. Holding a phone with a cracked screen, he said he was waiting for a call from his mother. "She thinks I'm working in New Jersey. If she knew I was here, she would probably come looking, but I don't want her to see this." He forced a smile, then walked away quickly as an old car pulled up. Kensington needs no signs. A newcomer takes only a few minutes to realize they have arrived at what is considered the epicenter of the nation's substance abuse crisis. Abandoned buildings become temporary shelters. The sidewalks become the place where they confront their dependents, and no one asks your name or where you came from. For just a few crumpled dollars, you can buy a few hours of oblivion, a price so cheap it is terrifying, yet more costly than any debt when paid with your health, your memory, and sometimes your life. The contrast is stark. Less than 5 kilometers away are government buildings, museums, and clean, bustling streets. But just a short distance away, the American dream begins to crack. These cracks did not form overnight. They come from years of industrial decline, skyrocketing housing prices, wages that could not keep up, and a support system that has long been overwhelmed. This place attracts people struggling with addiction from many other states. Some come because the substances are cheap and easy to buy, others because of rumors that no one will chase you away there. But mostly, they come because they have no other options, having lost their homes, their jobs, or their connections with family. To walk in Kensington is to step into a parallel world where time moves slower and the rules no longer seem to apply. You will see people sleeping, standing up in the street with severe physical injuries without medical care, their eyes empty as if they were somewhere else. The police still patrol, but usually only stop if there is a dangerous situation. Here, the most important question is not why are they here, but who will be the next person to walk onto this street? Number 4. The undercurrent of drug history. Looking at Kensington today, many might think this is a story of the 21st century. But in reality, it is just a new chapter in a book that was written thousands of years ago. About 3,000 years ago, opium, the resin of the poppy plant, appeared in the ancient medicine of Egypt, China, and India. At that time, it was considered a divine medicine, reserved for the powerful and the seriously ill. In the 19th century, opium was no longer purely a medicinal substance. The British Empire turned it into a tool of commerce and politics used to balance trade with China. 2 opium wars broke out, not only addicting millions, but also changing the power dynamics in Asia. The 20th century ushered in the era of heroin and cocaine. Heroin, synthesized from morphine, was once introduced as a safer medical solution, but quickly became the cause of global waves of addiction. Cocaine, initially a stimulant used in medicine, eventually found its way into both high society parties and the streets. A more dangerous turning point came in the early 21st century with the appearance of fentanyl. Many times more potent than heroin, simple to produce, and low in cost, fentanyl flooded the black market. The majority of the supply is synthesized from precursors in China, manufactured in Mexico, and then smuggled into the United States. In recent years, a new formula has emerged, Tranq, a mixture of fentanyl and xylazine, a tranquilizer for horses. Tranq not only causes users to fall into a state of uncontrolled stupor, but also inflicts severe damage to the body in a short time. Its low cost and potent effects have allowed this drug to spread rapidly, becoming a new nightmare. From being revered as a divine medicine to a tool of war, then a product of global underground networks, the journey of narcotics is an undercurrent that has never stopped. And with each new generation, its mark is etched deeper into streets like Kensington, where history and the present intersect in a relentless spiral. Number 5. Trapped souls. Right in the middle of the city's traffic and hurried footsteps, there is a small corner where time seems to stand still. A woman sits on the ground against an old wall, her tangled hair partially obscuring a gaunt face. Her oversized coat cannot hide her crudely bandaged legs, where injuries on her body have not been treated. Few know she was once a dedicated nurse in a community hospital who helped patients through critical moments. But a back injury, followed by seemingly harmless pain pills, led her here to a place where each day is now just a battle for survival. Not far away, the path that children take to school is filled with images unbelievable to anyone who has never been here. Small shoes weave through the gaps between discarded used medical supplies, avoiding bodies as still as statues. Some children are too used to it to be surprised anymore, but that very familiarity is what makes adults' hearts sink. In a makeshift camp near the train station, an old man huddles by a fire in an iron drum. He once had a small house with a white picket fence and a rose garden, But job loss, illness, and then debt took everything away. Now the only warmth he has left comes from the flames and his memories. Kensington is full of stories like these. Each person here had a different starting point, but they all share the same destination, trapped in a spiral of poverty, dependence, and isolation. They are still present on the streets, but like faint shadows that no one truly sees. When night falls, the fire casts their silhouettes onto the cold, damp walls. It is not just the image of outsiders, but a testament to a part of society sinking into darkness where souls are still waiting for a hand to lead them back to the light. Number 6. The Small Battle. On streets where the sidewalks are accustomed to the sight of fallen figures, there are still footsteps that never cease not searching for substances, but for a chance at life for others. Pastor Thomas, who has been dedicated to this area for over 20 years, pulls a small cart every morning with bread, warm water, and a few clean clothes. He does not preach or blame, only gently places a bag of food into each person's hand with a reminder to, please try to take care of yourself today. Beside him is Jake, a former addict who escaped Kensington after years of living under a bridge. Jake returns, not because temptation pulled him back, but because he believes that only those who have walked through the abyss can understand how to extend a hand to someone who is falling. With his group Soldiers for Recovery, he goes into every alley distributing Narcan, the opioid overdose reversal drug, to anyone willing to take it. They have no illusions about their success rate. Each week, the group saves a few lives, but they also have to watch as familiar faces disappear forever. One morning, they might say goodbye to a friend from the streets, and that afternoon, pull another back from the brink of death. Life and death are intertwined, making the concept of victory here more fragile than anywhere else. The city government is present, but its resources are too limited. The budget for handling the drug crisis is just a fraction of the actual need. Plans to build temporary housing, open more detox beds, or treatment centers are often delayed by bureaucracy or met with opposition. Meanwhile, out there, people continue to collapse on the cold pavement every day. For people like Pastor Thomas and Jake, they understand this is an uneven fight. But even knowing that most efforts will not succeed, they still step out onto the streets every day. Because if just one person is saved, one pair of eyes opens after a coma, or one trembling hand squeezes back to feel some warmth, that is enough for them to continue. In a place filled with despair, hope is not a brilliant light, but a small matchstick, and their mission is to keep it from going out. Number 7. Specks of light in the night. When night falls on Kensington, many would think only cold and darkness remain. But if you slow down and look closer, you will see specks of light, small but persistent, that continue to endure. On the corner of a street where the wind blows the hardest, a mobile coffee stand glows with a warm yellow light. The owner, a middle-aged man who was once homeless, now regularly hands out hot coffee and a few slices of bread every evening to the faces he used to see in the mirror years ago. He says, "Nothing saves you from the abyss faster than a hand reaching out at the right time." A few blocks away, a group of young volunteers carries bags of Narcan medical gloves and thin blankets. They are not loud, they do not take photos. They just quietly walk past each tent, checking in, and leaving behind something that could save a life at the most unexpected moment. A former nurse in the group recounts how on many nights she would administer Narcan to someone who had overdosed, only to turn around and see that same person back in line to buy more minutes later. But she still comes back every week. If they are still breathing today, maybe tomorrow they will want to live. The community here is not just made up of people distributing food and blankets. There are barbers who give free haircuts, setting up folding chairs right on the sidewalk, turning a haircut into a chance for conversation for a genuine laugh. There are local residents who, despite their stores being empty, because customers are afraid of the area, still let the wandering find shelter from the rain and wind. Of course, these efforts cannot change Kensington overnight. Drugs are still rampant, the cold still bites, and the sound of ambulance sirens still rings out unexpectedly. But it is these specks of light that keep this place from disappearing completely from the map of hope. They are not enough to erase the darkness, but they are enough to remind us that the darkness is never the whole story. In a city where the number of drug-related deaths continues to rise each year, these simple yet persistent actions might be the fragile thread that saves a few lives. And sometimes just one person saved is enough for those specks of light to keep burning. Kensington is not just a poor neighborhood. It is a chilling reminder that the American dream can crack at any moment. The despondent faces, the trembling hands do not just exist here. If indifference continues, any city could become the next Zombieland. Cheap, potent, and dangerous illicit substances do not discriminate between rich and poor, and they do not wait for anyone to be prepared. When relief budgets are too small, policies are too slow, and communities lose connection, this spiral will spread. The most terrifying thing is not death, but when an entire community is erased from the map of hope. And when the line between light and darkness disappears, America will have to face a reality no one ever thought possible. If you want to continue following authentic stories like this, please press like and subscribe to the NVL Travel Documentary channel.